Hi, you're watching Floyd Steinberg's YouTube channel. This is MicroDexed desktop. Has this open source groovebox now reached its final form? If you want to find out, please join me in the next minutes. Here we go. My original plan for this video was to show you the complete build from start to finish. But as the weeks went by and I still didn't finish building the synthesizer, I changed my mind. So here's the time lapse of the build, and I'll just give you one or two words of advice. Most importantly, you'll need a soldering iron with a fine tip, otherwise you'll be lost. Also, some painter's tape will come in handy to keep certain parts in their place so they don't get crooked. Apart from that, the DIY kit comes with a detailed part list and instructions how to assemble it. Just follow this along. For example, you can see there's a list of capacitors here and their value. So all you need to do is look at the PCB, find the C1 for example, take a look at the list here, which value the capacitor should have, and then insert it into the PCB and solder it in place. I found that you don't need to stick to a particular order while building this, but of course some things are better done beforehand than afterwards. And if that's the case, I'll mention it in the next minutes. Here we go. When soldering header pins, it's a good idea to push them into the socket they belong if possible, before soldering. If you don't want to or can't decipher the ring code on the resistors or the polarity of capacitors and diodes, this $20 device from Amazon will happily tell you what you're looking at. Highly recommended. Link is in this video's description. For components where polarity must be observed, the longer leg marks the positive pole. On diodes, the negative pole is marked with a ring. On network resistors, the first pin is marked with a dot. The buttons have a straight edge, which is also marked on the circuit board. Here you can see the main panel and the optional MIDI to CV board. Joining them takes patience and a steady hand, so don't rush it. Of course, nobody has been waiting for this running gag.
Oh, get down, baby, get down. Right on, get down.
Here's the finished MicroDexed desktop in all its glory, with two big knobs, cursor and editor keys, MIDI and CV ports, pedal connectors and more. All in all, building this took roughly 2 weeks, and I had quite a number of cold solder joints I needed to fix. So if you don't have the experience, it's best to buy the pre-made synthesizer. The Navi pedal for MicroDexed Touch version 3 has been developed by Thomas Effendi together with MicroDexed original creator Holger Wirtz for roughly 2 years now. And as I said previously, it took me roughly 2 weeks to build this, but I had to take care about my day job and other things as well. If you can find the time to work on this continuously, I think you should plan to invest roughly 2 evenings for this to get it running. A link to the DIY kit and also pre-made versions is in this video's description. So this is the new MicroDexed, this is the old one, you can see it's much bigger now, and there are a lot more connectors here. We have got an SD card slot so you can load your own samples, which we'll take a look at soon. Then we have MIDI clock in, MIDI clock out, a volume pedal connector, sustain pedal connector. Here we have MIDI TRS sockets for input and output, headphone jack, line out, mono and stereo. And we have 3 USB ports now instead of only 1, so we can connect our own synthesizers here, or MIDI devices. Then we have much nicer and bigger buttons. We have navigation buttons now, and start, stop and select buttons for operating the sequencer while you're somewhere else in the operating system, which is quite handy. If you bought one of the additional boards, then you will also get additional outputs. For example, you will get CV ports for integrating this into your rack setup. And you also get additional pedal ports, USB ports, power connector and USB Type-C connectors. So what is MicroDexed? MicroDexed is an open source groovebox based on the Teensy 4.1 microprocessor, just like the Dirty Wave Mate, for example. This can run a number of synthesizers, you can see them listed here, and you can then sequence those synthesizers with a built-in sequencer. There are 2 of them, in fact, one tracker-style sequencer, which is being phased out, if I understood that correctly. And there's also a live sequencer, which allows you to record patterns and then trigger them from a screen to create music. Let's begin by walking through the synthesizers that are built into here. We start with Dexed. This is a Yamaha DX7 emulator, 16 voices per track. There are 4 of them you can deploy in your music, so to speak. Let's quickly listen to some of them. One thing you can take note of here is we have chorus, delay and reverb for each of those plugins. The next instrument on here is the electric piano, and I think this alone is a good reason to buy this box. You get a portable electric piano, and this one sounds really good. I think it's based on the MDA plugin. No matter how old that plugin is, it still sounds gorgeous. Listen to this. Now there are a lot of settings you can adjust here. Let me just change things up a bit. So once again we can use the right encoder here. Let's increase the hardness a bit. But let's also take down the treble a bit so it's a little bit more mellow. And let's slightly detune this. And let's go all in with overdrive and reduce the master volume just a little bit here. Okay, and a little bit of tremolo would be good. Let's listen. Yeah, I could go on forever and ever playing this thing. This is so much fun and it sounds so good. But I have to show you the rest of this box as well, and I've already spent 5 minutes just noodling around on this piano alone. So yeah, I'm sorry for that. Let's continue. The next instrument is a Microsynth. This is a simple monophonic synthesizer, but you've got two of them. You have two instances of this, and you can select those by long pressing the right encoder here. You can set up all the things you'd expect from such a synthesizer, for example, attack decay, sustain release, the wave shape. Let's choose a pulse wave. And we can add filters. And we can add effects as well. I won't go through every option here, but this sounds pretty thin. But there's one trick I want to show you. We can go back into the system settings, then set up the MIDI channels. And now I'm just going to set both microsynths to the same MIDI channel. We will get a warning here, but MicroDexed will accept that anyway. So let's ignore that warning. Go back to your microsynth here. And now let's detune this a bit and let's listen. Yeah, like this. The next synth is Braids, which is a 6-voice polyphonic digital synthesizer, which has a lot of oscillators. And the oscillators are not traditional oscillators, they are all kinds of different synthesis techniques, so to speak. For example, you have modeling synths, you have virtual analog synths, you have FM synths, and more. And the way you can adjust this to your needs is by adjusting the volume, the shape, the color, and the timbre. And that's it. That's all you can change here. But given the numbers of different oscillators, you will surely find some sounds you like and want to use here. For example, here's the ever so popular Supersaw. Let's listen to this. many other models or oscillators you can choose from here. Yeah, I guess you get an impression of that. Let's move on. The Granular Synthesizer, and this is a new addition since I last talked about MicroDexed, so let's take a look at that. If you don't know, a Granular Synthesizer will use a sample to create new sounds from this by playing a very small slice of the sample and then looping it in ways you can specify here. Let's listen to some of the original samples that are pre-installed here. The bass, Calliope, yeah, let's use the Calliope. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And what you can do now is to change the grain size, which is the size of the loop, so to speak, or the length of the loop. So let's reduce this just a little bit. Like this. And then we can change the position. So you can scan the sample there. Let's use this position, it's okay. And now this is where the magic happens. Now you can change the spread. The position of the reed head is randomized. So now each time you play, the reed head can begin between here and here on a random position, okay? Now let's change the density. The density will spread out repetitions of that fragment of the sample to make the sound more dense. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And now we can shape this a little bit less attack. A little bit more release. This sounds beautiful, don't you think? We can also change the direction of the reed head. This is random. And we can apply a filter to this. A little bit of reverb. A little bit of delay. Yeah, and that's it. This is 6-voice polyphonic. It's a little bit taxing on the CPU, I heard, so use this with caution. Let's play a bit. Yeah, very nice. Now we can just exchange the sample. There's a lot of sound to explore here. We will take a look at how to load your own samples later. Next, we'll take a look at the Multisampler, which you can use to spread samples across the keyboard range. For example, to create realistic sounding pianos. To begin with, you have to go to the File Manager, and then from the SD card you have to load some samples that you want to use. So go into this folder here, for example, and then choose the Copy to PSRAM function, which will copy these samples into the internal memory of MicroDexed, which is 16 megabytes. So that's enough for a couple of seconds of samples here. Let's start. First one, second one, and so on. You can see I've already done this before. So let's go back to the multi-sample player, and what I want to do now is to move my cursor here and then select the samples I'm going to use here. Sample 1, sample 2, 3, and so on. Okay, all the samples are assigned to the octaves they belong to. So now I can just set my main keyboard to channel 10. And now we should be able to play an acoustic piano. These are short samples, but never mind. Let's go to the next instrument, the drum sampler. What I need to do here is to set my master keyboard to the next MIDI channel. This is very similar to what you just saw with the multisampler, but here each sample can be triggered with its individual keys, so you can play drums. The next instrument, also a new one here, is Noisemaker, not to be confused with TAL Noisemaker, which is a Uno60 emulator. This is a drum synthesizer. The way this works is you can choose a model of which drum type you want to use, for example a bass drum, and then you choose a sample slot, and then you can change the instrument's parameters here. For example, on the bass drum we have room size, damping, dryness, wetness, pitch envelope, and so on. And then you press the render sound button. It takes a few moments, and then you get this bass drum sound. If you're satisfied with this, you can save it to a slot and then load it into the other drum machine I've examined previously here. So yeah, let's try some sounds. I like this one, so let's save it to this slot. Let's also create a snare drum. We're choosing the snare model here. We're choosing the second slot, and we can now render this sound again. Let's try some random patches. I think that's okay, so let's save it to this slot. We can go back into the drum module here and then just select one of the snares we just rendered up here. Alright. Related to these activities is the slice editor, which lets you slice samples and then you can assign those slices to keys on the keyboard or to sequences. And there's also a new function for recording audio, so you can sample directly on MicroDexed itself, which is super handy. Let's also take a look at the mastering effects. So we have delay and reverb. You've already heard that all over this video. We have a sidechain compressor, which you can use to apply that modern sounding pumping effect to pads, bass lines, and so on. And we have a multiband compressor, which is ever so useful for pumping out powerful sounding tracks. Last but not least, we have the sequencer. There are, as I said in the introduction, there are two different sequences here. We have the song sequencer, which is a tracker-based one. So if you watched my Pico Tracker video, you'll feel right at home with this one. There are patterns and there are chains, so you can arrange your patterns into songs. There's also the live sequencer, which can be used for recording your playing live. You can set up patterns, then you can capture your playing, you can quantize it, and then you can trigger the patterns you created here from the live sequencer screen. MicroDexed comes with a lot of examples for the song sequencers. Here's a rendition of Alphaville's Big in Japan. If you want to know more about the sequences and how to use them, please watch one of my older videos. There have been many additions to these sequences with this new update. For example, you can now change the instruments directly on this screen. We now have a piano roll style editor for the live sequences you've recorded, and you can quantize them, which is great. There also is an arpeggiator now, which I used in the intro of this video for playing the plucked sound on the synthesizer. MicroDexed has come a long way since I last talked about it. We have doubled the amount of FM synthesizers and a lot of new sound engines built into this. So if there's a particular sound you're searching for, chances are you can create it on this machine. All the synthesizers found on here can be edited directly on device, and with the new buttons and knobs, it's relatively easy to do so. The thing I missed while making this video were some extra buttons and knobs, so I can tweak the sounds live while playing sequences, which is part of the fun of electronic music, right? Thing is, you can assign mod wheels and pitch bend wheels and pedals to control certain aspects of the sound, but I wish there was a little bit more depth to that. For example, on an FM synthesizer, controlling the envelopes live will drastically change the sound, which is a lot of fun. But these are minor nitpicks in an overall very impressive package. Prices for the Navi panel for MicroDexed Touch start at around €285. Hey, if you think this is cool content and if you want to see more of this in the future, please do the YouTube thing now, like and subscribe. Seeing those numbers grow is a big motivation boost for me. And to be honest, it's been hard in 2025, and 2026 has been even worse so far. Talking about synthesizers is fun. Seeing subscriber numbers grow is fun as well. So why not have both? Thank you very much.